Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be covering a lot of topics quick, so you will be up to date on everything that happened in AI that's worth knowing as a developer, as a builder, as someone that uses these tools. So the first one I want to call out, this is a for people that are using SQL, and this has been out for a little while, but it just keeps getting better and better. So if you're writing SQL and you want to have a Copilot for that, this is specifically trained on Postgres, and it's fantastic. It's in Supabase. You don't even have to be using the Supabase backend as a service. And if you are using that, then you get to select the schemas, and it'll give you more specific stuff. But I found that very helpful. The second one is V0 came out with their really it's a competitor to Bolt.new, where it allows you to have multiple pages created. So I two-shotted this, which is a big dashboard and it has some cool stuff in it to keep you updated. But it lets you actually create all these different files. So what we have 15 maybe different files in here, and it's actually writing different SVG stuff, which SVGs typically are very troublesome for LLMs because there's a lot of numbers involved. But this is a big deal. It's going to be really helpful. I think it's way better because they're actually tied to deploys. So you could go and you could five-shot a website and then click deploy, and it's just tied in right there. It also has this URL nav bar, which looks really good. You have the development preview. So you can see where this is going, where because they own they kind of position themselves as the front end cloud, it's getting closer and closer to that. Where you'll be able to build by just prompting, test it on here, and then either share it or deploy it. You can also do this select thing. So you can say, hey, I want to make this inline change. You can open this in a new tab. You can full screen it. You can refresh it. You can see where this is going. It's getting a lot better. You can also just do this. This has existed. But this is going to be a big deal in the long term. And another piece is they actually bought a company called grep. So grep is really fast code search. It's not as good in terms of the breadth of GitHub search. So if I did a search for Next.js, it says 55,000 results here, but if I did it on GitHub, it's like 450,000. And just some of the filtering isn't quite as good, but what they're doing is they're taking this and they're going to have it as a standalone product. Let's see if I can find the right tab. And it'll have a standalone tool, an API, and integrated search engine of V0 and Vercel. So really fast search across the whole stack. That's great news. And the way that I see this going is you could probably use it to find a repo that you want to fork or you want to add to, so you're not starting from scratch. So if I said I wanted to work on this Iron Calc thing, which if I remember correctly, it is a spreadsheeting software written in Rust. If I wanted to take that and fork it and work on it, then I could do that. I could search it really quickly. I could bring it into V0. I could probably see the whole repo there and then start editing it. That's interesting. The Bolt.new, which I kind of talked about, a lot of people have talked about this. I don't really like it that much because it's kind of standalone, and I feel like if you're actually a developer, it's not that helpful. But it's great for people that are getting excited about coding. It's actually open source, at least part of it, and it's worth checking out. It's getting a lot of stars. It's been out for a little while, but it just shows you if you were to make agent stuff and you wanted to see like, well, how does this code thing work on the right? How do they bring this in? How do they allow inline editing? Well, it turns out you can go and find that component, and you can see, oh, they use CodeMirror. What's CodeMirror? And it lets you just learn. So that's a really helpful one. Another piece is actually on Gemini. So Google Gemini launched memories. We're used to seeing memories in OpenAI, but the difference is the context window is much larger. So that is probably something to keep an eye on. And as well as Microsoft, they did a big announcement saying that they're going to have, I think they called it like infinite memory. They basically said that they're close to having infinite memory, and of course I can't find it. But Microsoft's making those claims. Other things that are happening are Mistral launched LayChat. I've used it. It's what all the other ones do, just a little bit worse. Has citations and stuff. It is funny that they are having a mission to develop highly competitive models while ideally making money in the process. I think that's just a funny way of positioning it. And then Perplexity added one-click checkout. They also added a bunch of shopping stuff. So I don't know what that means for the infamous company called Bolt, which was, that guy's kind of a shyster. Something that I haven't used, so I'm not comfortable talking about it very much, but this Windsurf IDE is supposed to be really good because they have this thing called Cascades, and it's built by a company called Codium. Codium is known, I think they started with just RAG for your code base, so answering questions about your code base and being really good at that. So they're really good at basically indexing everything. So I'm excited to try this out. There's a lot of really good feedback online about it, but because I haven't used it, I don't really want to talk about it. I've talked about Zed in the past, and I think that that's really promising because just the performance of it, and it doesn't get in the way. XAI now is in the Vercel AI SDK. We talked a little bit about this Mistral thing. It has Canvas. One pattern that I think will be interesting and other people will do is you can tag agents. So if you had multiple agents, you can bring them in here and have them probably do different tasks. So you can see a world where you're stringing those together and they're doing the different tasks that you want, and it looks something like this pattern, where instead of it saying the name of the component at the top, it'd probably be the name of the agent, probably the steps that it took, and then you can have a human in the loop where if you had an agent that's job is to write descriptions for this YouTube video and titles, then it would have the output, and then that would hand that to a blog post agent so it could see what the title and description was and then draft something for that and then ask you for the feedback. But I think that's likely where stuff like that will go when it comes to multi-agentic flows that don't require coding, that anyone can jump in, and that's going to be a game changer. So as always, if you enjoy the video, make sure you like it and subscribe to make sure you're in the loop on all this stuff that's happening every week in the quickest way possible. And I'll see you in the next video.